Hi, welcome back to another episode of Ask Me Anything with Pragati series. Today, as I promised last week, I will be talking particularly for my entrepreneur friends and all those people who are entrepreneurs, who are proud entrepreneurs, and they really are contributing their bit to the most. But looking at the current times, there have been certain change in scenario. There have been certain challenges which they are facing, and that is making them feel uncomfortable. Well, how do I know? Well, I know because I have been an entrepreneur for the last 2 decades now. And today, when I sit here, I'm thankful to the Almighty that my work is doing fine. But there are people who have faced certain challenges, who are not getting the kind of sales, the kind of revenues that they would have normally generated. And this calls for a support episode for them, an episode where they can voice their concerns, where they can talk about what is bothering them. And if they want to have a new focus, or if they want to discuss something which is on their mind, I will be more than happy to do that. So now, as I talk about it, I will definitely be taking up questions, but before that, I really need to tell you why I am the right person to do it. Why, if not right person, why am I even thinking of doing it? Well, to begin with, I have been doing a program for entrepreneurs by the name of Exceed Yourself for last almost 2 decades, and I realized that entrepreneurs are they are multidimensional. They have to do so much, and as a result, they have a whole lot of questions. So this episode is dedicated to them because, and when it comes to me, I have been able to amalgamate a lot of scientific inputs from positive psychology, from psychometric analysis, from NLP, and a whole lot of other sciences that I practice. I learn as an avid learner, and I put them together into a content which has worked for multiple hundreds of entrepreneurs, corporate professionals, and even startups that I've been able to take care of. So I'm super proud and super blessed that I get this opportunity to touch people's life, and this is exactly what I'm going to do in today's live as well. So before I start, I would like to tell you I have got a few questions from some of you, and me and my team have actually compiled a few questions together to reach at a question so that we are able to address a bigger lot of concerns from the entrepreneurs that we have. So now, to begin with, the question that is first coming up goes like this. So the first question is actually, and in case you feel I'm an entrepreneur who's doing fine and I have no questions at all, let me remind you, having no questions is a bigger problem altogether. In case you don't have a question because you feel you know it all, that place is a very difficult place to reach. Despite being in this work for long, despite having a big knack for learning and being an avid learner and reader, I still feel I'm no expert. I still feel there's more to learn, imbibe, and gain. So in case you feel you have no questions, I feel that's a bad idea. So feel free to ask your questions here as I address some of them which have already been received by most of you. So thank you so much, and here we begin. So the first question comes from Preeti Jadodia. She says, some people seem to have it all: good presence, good connects, good products, and great success. How can I achieve it all? Well, that indeed sounds wonderful, Preeti, for somebody to have that kind of presence, connect, products, and amazing success all together. It, to the world, it looks like wow. But to the person, you go and ask that person, you will realize most of the people who have this kind of leverage in life are those people who worked pretty hard. They've really invested so much of themselves, so much of their effort, time, and energy into it, that today what you see looks like a great presence, or amazing connect or support system that they have, and great success. But having said that, anybody who's inherently and endlessly good at something, I believe destiny is not important. They have definitely done it by design. I believe so because me and a lot of other entrepreneurs who've been part of our community have experienced this, that until they give their best shot, until they decide where they want to go, they will not be able to get the kind of success they have. So now one by one I would like to handle what you've given me. So if you talk of good presence, that definitely takes a lot of personality skills, how you bond with people, how you connect with people. Are you one of those matching types? Do you even consider others in your plans? Then people definitely want to look forward to meet you, because you have a good presence, not because of you being good looking, beautiful or talented. It's also because you're so matching types. You would love to think people, you would love to synergize with people and collaborate with them. You have those kind of people skills. So that is the secret recipe for successful presence or networking. The second thing that you talked of was connects. I personally feel you may be amazing in your area of work, but to have a mentor, to have somebody who can guide you through the work that you're doing, and who've been there and who've done it all, if you reach out to them and have a formal mentor or a coach, it makes a whole lot of difference. I say it cuts down your time to reach that success tremendously. Then you also talked of good products. Well, good products again are not happening by chance. It is so important to understand why are you doing, what are you doing. So if you know why you are doing, what are you doing, you clearly come from a point where you know how to create a product or a service which would solve a pain point, right? So it is that area which needs to be addressed. And of course, as I said, when you clearly operate from a why you are doing that work, that has to come from within. That has to come for a bigger need to contribute, to address a pain point, to solve a problem. And when you are coming from that kind of why, all the other options are actually opener for you. So Preeti, beautiful question. I loved it, and I know most of us look at people and see, oh wow, they are so successful. Possibly they've been so lucky. I believe it's more than luck. I believe it's a lot of hard work that goes into being having a presence which is wonderful, in having connects which are supportive, in having products which are delivering on what you have promised to your clients, and most importantly, great success. So my humble submission would be, if you really want to have a great success, sit down and think about it. Why do you even want to get into a business model if you're working, or even at work? There are sufficient whys to contribute, and then think of what you would like to bring to the world. Bring your light on. We need more people who are working out of that kind of conviction and focused approach. I hope this helps you, Preeti. Well, the next question is from Sanjukta Bajaj. Sanjukta Bajaj has asked, times have been really tough work-wise. I have not been able to clock any great work in last 5 to 6 months. I am feeling stuck in the problem, and I feel my thoughts are not helping me either. What can be done? If I look at it, Sanjukta, it's a very big question with a whole lot of things. But you know what? The best part is what you are facing is not something which others are not. Many people are facing this. Sadly, I have to tell you this, that it's a collective reality that we are into. A lot of people have not been able to clock good business or do the kind of business they were doing prior to 5-6 months before the pandemic. So what you are facing, well, my heart and a big virtual hug goes out to you. Keep some heart, because this is just a phase. This is a collective calamity which has come the world over. So when you think of how it is affecting businesses the world over, at least you'll have some, you'll feel saner about it. You'll get to understand the problem in the bigger picture. That's one. Secondly, now that you've understood that it's a collective calamity, this is happening world over, it's not just your business which is being affected. Once you understand that, it becomes even more important to understand that then you can gain into the collective intelligence. Now, what is collective intelligence? Collective intelligence means how are people who have been impacted the way you have been impacted dealing it? So there are many people who have not had a good business, who not getting the right kind of breakthroughs that they were earlier getting. Their work is affected, their employees are being affected, and lots happening, and which we all know. People are losing jobs, entrepreneurs are not getting the kind of sales they were earlier getting. So if I tell you that this is collectively happening, take some heart there. It's okay, it's just a phase, things will come back to normal. But in this meantime, what can be done is what I'm telling you. So the first thing is, tap into the collective consciousness of other entrepreneurs. There are certain entrepreneurs who are doing a lot of things and they are learning from it. They are able to reach out to their customers through online mediums. All those flash sales which I see around, it's a very good idea, and people are able to take their products and take it right into the drawing rooms of other people through a flash sale. So I'm not saying that's the only way. You can think about how else your product, because you've not mentioned your product. So but you can always think of how you can tap into that kind of online versions to reach into the to reach to your client. Apart from that, if you look at it, I see you are feeling stuck in the problem. So I will be able to suggest some 5 problem solving constructs or reframings. See, what I believe is a problem is how you're looking at a problem. Instead of calling it a problem, if you call it challenge, psychologically you bring the burden down. Psychologically you feel much more saner around it. You feel objective around it. And then because you feel saner and objective around it, you're able to tackle it also. So my humble submission would be, please stop labeling it as a problem. Just label, currently I'm feeling a challenge, because that will bring down the intensity of emotion that you're facing. Once the intensity of emotion comes down psychologically, then you are in a much better condition to handle that whatever you are facing in the life right now. So if I have to tell you 5 ways in which you can take care of this problem, well, most important thing is, I will be telling you ways how you can shift your focus from what is not working to what is working. There must be, even if it is a small thing, even if it is one single thing which is working in your favor, that's enough. That's enough to get a foothold of it. And the moment you get the foothold, that's where you're able to kind of, climb up the stairs and reach to a point where you're able to do better. This may sound comforting, but there are steps to it. So what are those steps is what I'm going to talk about. And the first step would be, shift from why it is happening to me or my business, why this has to come, why, to how. So the moment you ask how it is happening to others, how others are taking charge, how can I take charge, or how can I turn around my business at this time. These are the kind of questions, if you give to yourself, psychologically you're in a much better condition, much better a frame of mind to reach to a solution. So instead of a why, if you can shift to your how as a question, trust me, it is one of the most powerful questions you can ask. And if I have to tell you how this works, it's very simple. Your conscious mind, the mind which is listening to me right now, is the conscious mind. So your conscious mind plans and decides what has to be done. It's your subconscious which will get you. And that subconscious is also called as gut. So sometimes when we say, oh, my gut feeling is not about that person is not right, about that work is not right. So that's your subconscious kind of telling you it will not help, right? So that shift your why to how and see how magically it brings down the emotional burden. Now the second thing that you can do is, instead of treating this as a failure, right? As you said, I'm stuck in a problem. So you're almost feeling like a failure. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, because the idea is to take this phase as a phase of learning, to this phase as a phase of understanding why my product is not able, or my service is not able to be marketed, whereas others are able to do it, right? There, if I'm not saying majority, but some people are able to do it. Look up to them and learn. Take a feedback of what can be optimized, tweaked in my product, in my service, in the way I'm handling it. That I learn to master this phase of my business, right? So rather than failure, move on to a feedback side of it. The moment you shift your focus to feedback, you learn far more, and you're able to turn around so much around what is happening to you. So I guess that could be a very good strategy for you. The third thing that I want you to take care of is instead of taking it as a blame thing, take it as an outcome thing. Now what do I mean by that? Well, blame is when you say whose mistake is this, or who has done the problem, who has to be blamed for this. So when you get into this is a very endless cycle. There's no answers to it. This is just a place where you get, all tied up, but there are no solutions coming. So what could be a better place? The better place could be outcomes. So think of, now whatever has happened, what do you want further down? So start afresh, start from today and think, okay, so what do I want as an outcome? And if I want that as an outcome, what resources do I have? What kind of people resources or physical resources and any other resources, employees, your office work structures, the other things that you are doing based on your work. So what kind of resources do I have? And then in order to reach that outcome, what are the things which I'm going to do which will be different from what I'm currently doing? The moment you shift from one thing which you are currently doing to a new thing, you are bound to get new results. You are bound to get better results rather. The fourth possibility or the reframing that I would like to tell you is, instead of operating from necessity, I should do this because I have rents to pay, I must do this because I have to take care of X number of employees, or wherever there's a should or a must, it's a compulsion which is coming. So the moment you talk like compulsion, your body gets into a phase where it is overwhelmed, and overwhelmed is a place of it's a very bad place for any entrepreneur to be. So my suggestion would be, please stay away from the place where you are doing it out of necessity, out of duty, out of bondage, out of some kind of binding stuff, right? And move on to something like a possibility. A possibility is such a big thing, because the moment you create possibilities, you actually open up yourself for, okay, so we can do this, or we can try and do this. And that's where you get on to a point of reviving your business, reviving your sales, or getting new clients. You know what, sometimes when clients come to us and we are not in a right frame of mind, even a hot inquiry could be wasted, right? So it is so important for an entrepreneur to be in the right frame of mind. I guess the only thing an entrepreneur needs to work is on themselves, because you are your brand. And if you are your brand, and if you're not sorted, I mean, imagine how difficult it becomes for people to come and trust that you could deliver that solution that they are seeking. So it's so important to be mentally and emotionally available to your customers or your clients, and that is why a possibility mind frame helps. Be open to what is possible in your business, what is possible when it comes to your sale, and try most of the things. Of course, you have to leverage and take care of how much risk appetite you have, but based on your appetite for risk, you should be taking care of as many possibilities as possible. And lastly, and most importantly, this I have loved it, because I call this as assumption with respect to curiosity. So till the time I was in assumption, I was always thinking of, oh, I know it. And that's the problem with most of the entrepreneurs. They come with a thought process like, oh, I know it. I've had enough business experience, so I know how it works. But please understand, we are humans and we operate from our own assumptions about things. So when we are operating from our own assumptions about things, we assume that we know, and we may not. How good would that be if you shift from assumption to curiosity? If you shift from, become curious about, okay, so what else can I do? Where else can I, optimize? Where else can I introduce something which is more, delivering more service or a value to my client, to my customer? How can I do it better? So that kind of curiosity should not stop, whether you've been into the business for 5 years or 10 years or even beyond. People who become less curious are the ones who fail miserably. So curiosity could be the new age value. It could be a wonderful, wonderful place to be. And I am always there. But there has been time I've been in assumptions and I failed miserably there. Till the time I was there, I couldn't, think of a time or an episode where I did wonders. But the day I shifted to curiosity, I was open to so many new things. So I guess these are the 5 frameworks which you need to look into if you are feeling, as you said, stuck in a problem. So let me quickly build it up for you. What people call a problem, if you can call it as a challenge, it will immediately sort your solutions or give you solutions or sort your problem. Secondly, the 5 different ways to look at a problem could be, instead of a why, get into a how. Instead of a necessity, get into a possibility. Instead of feeling like a failure, feel like a, as if you are having a feedback. And rather than moving from blamers, you have to move to outcomes. And most importantly, last, which I just mentioned, move from assumptions to curiosity. These are difficult times. These are times where things are not going the way we are expecting them to go. And we also have the burden of, some people do have the burden of rents and salaries and whatnot. But this is also the time to think different. This is also the time to think what else could you do so that you can bring, you can reinvent your business, or you can reinvent yourselves, or you can reinvent the kind of solutions you're bringing to the table. I call this a plateau. Plateau means just like you have, peaks and troughs. Similarly, this is one area where today we are at a plateau. But this plateau could also be a place where we take care of our knowledge. We build up our skills. We take some good rest. We think of ideas to implement. We can plan ahead for the coming time. So plateau should be respected. All peaks are not good for an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur has to do so much. An entrepreneur has a limited energy. And if that entrepreneur is feeling the heat because of the current scenario, trust me, bigger companies are shutting down, and there are a whole lot of operations being, people are cutting cost. They are laying off employees which have been there for long. So this is not something which is happening only to you. This is happening. This is a collective calamity and a phenomena happening worldwide. Just wait, keep some patience. I'm sure you'll get better solutions to that. So that's the answer for your question, Sanjukta. And I have made it as elaborate as possible, because as I always say, the idea behind my live is not to show that, okay, I am doing a live. The idea is that I want people who are watching, whatever number of people who are watching, whether they watch right now or they watch later, I want them to know that that stucking in a, you're not stuck. You're just, it's a downtime. Look at it as a downtime. Look at it as a time where you can bring up your best game for future. You can plan it and you can bring it on. So respect the plateau. Take this time to take good care of yourself. Plan your business. See how you can tide over this one time. And just keep the focus right. So Sanjukta, this should help you. And now this brings me to the next question. My next question comes from Deepthi. So Deepthi says, how can one discover one's entrepreneurial passion? I love this question, honestly. Why I picked this question? This is a little tough question, but I love this question because so many entrepreneurs are there, and while the number is increasing on a daily basis, I have a few pointers to tell you before you actually get deep down into an entrepreneurial venture. So the first thing that I want to tell most of the people, and I tell so many people that I keep coaching all this while, is please do not confuse your enthusiasm with your passion. Passion, and some people are so enthusiastic, they want to have a business around it, and then just within a few months they are nowhere. So my idea is to tell you, please don't confuse that. If you are enthusiastic about a particular process, this doesn't mean you're passionate. So take some time, sit down and analyze what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what are your actual interests. Are you actually that, what do you say, extremely passionate about that one idea on which you are going to invest some money and energies and effort for long times to come? If not, if you have your doubts, how about going through a testing process? Now I'm going to tell you a very scientific and objective way. For anybody having an entrepreneurial passion, and especially for children these days who are thinking of getting into entrepreneurship, there's a whole lot happening. There are entrepreneurial programs for as early as 11 to 12 years of age. There are entrepreneurial programs beyond class 12th. There are universities doing that. If you are already in work and wanting to shift over to entrepreneurship, there are executive development programs which you can take care of. There are private coaches in their own, having their own private practice, so you can afford to go to them. And there are psychometric testings available. So psychometric testing is one process where you get to understand whether you are an entrepreneurial material at all or not. Thank you, Neetu. Glad you are liking it. So see, whether you are an entrepreneurial material or not has to be understood very objectively. So objectively, when I say, means what? It simply means get into a psychometric testing of your personality. The moment you get it done, the report will show you a lot of parameters on how are you a leader's mindset or not, how proactive you are, what kind of learning mindsets you have, do you even understand abstract concepts, or you are more about a practical side of life. So there are a whole lot of parameters. Some, I guess there are some 17 to 18 of them when you do a test called MAP. Then there are many others which are available. MBTI also gives an idea about how you can be, it tells you about the kind of person you are. And based on that, you can actually think whether entrepreneurship is for you or not. I would also like to tell you something which is coming from practical experience. I feel people want to be an entrepreneur because they feel there will be no boss over their head. They also feel they will be able to come to an office at any given time. So life would be, great because they will be taking most of the shots. But trust me, it doesn't work like that. An entrepreneur, they work double the hard. So they are almost working 24 hours in a day. And if you have that kind of capacity for hard work, then you should get into entrepreneurship. Apart from the psychometrics, apart from, tests like MAP and MBTI and other stuff, apart from a complete thorough assessment of your strengths, weakness, and your, desires and your what did I tell you, interest. So until you've gone through them, and you've researched the job and the field, both, where you are trying to get into. So, what kind of job profiles would be there? What all would you have to manage? What kind of, what is happening in that area of work? So that has to be looked into. Now, I also want you to get into the, it's an extremely challenging but very satisfying at the same time. So if you are open to challenges, if you are open to hard work, that's when you consider entrepreneurial passions. You don't consider them because suddenly one fine day you don't want to do a job and you want to do a business. You should have a very big and a very clear reason to what you want to bring on the table. What is that pain point? What is that problem that you want to solve? And are you equipped enough to solve it? Do you have that kind of expertise to solve that problem? And in case you are not having that expertise currently, how open you are to imbibe, to embrace new learnings, new methods, and things which can tell you that, okay, you are on the right path. So I guess this is what you have to look into when it comes to having an entrepreneurial passion for yourself. And the last thing that I want to tell you is, if something which comes from personal experience, is if you can be doing a internship or an apprenticeship under somebody who is amazing in the kind of work that you want to do, go ahead. You learn quicker, you learn faster, you learn better from people who have been in that area of work. And if you are hardworking, if you are there with a strong big reason to contribute, to learn, to imbibe, and you are contributing to what you are doing under them. Many mentors are, in fact, they come from a place where they want to share with you. They want you to be success, and they want you to know that what you can do. So I've had a good fortune of meeting so many wonderful people in different areas, because entrepreneurship means it's a business with a whole lot of things to manage. I know something, say for example, I may be very talented in skills and in the knowledge area. I may not be very talented with say blogging, or may not be very talented with how to handle my social media, but I need to have an inkling of every single component of how my business should run, or how my business could be done. So once you have that kind of holistic view or knowledge about your business, you do much better. You are not at the mercy of your service providers or support systems. So if you are open to hard work, if you are open to getting into folding your sleeves and getting down into the work on the floor, getting onto the floor, letting your client meet you and see you, that's one of the biggest, best, and the most amazing thing for being an entrepreneur. Okay, so my next question for today says, I wish to start my own venture, but I really am not sure if it is a big idea enough to survive me long time. How do you confirm a big idea? You know what has currently or recently happened, I have stopped thinking about what is a big idea at all. I honestly do not think which is that one business which is foolproof enough that I can sit here and confidently tell you, okay, so this is one big business where you invest, which you undertake, you'll be like sorted for life. It doesn't work like this. If you look at the world, the way the world and the economic scenarios are shifting, I really don't know what do I tell you when it comes to a business or a big idea which is enough to survive you in the long term. But I can definitely give you some inputs on how to check whether your idea is a big idea or not. So the first and the foremost important thing I need to tell you is I love the whole idea of questions. I love people who ask questions. And why do I do that? Because when you ask yourself a question, you tap into that area of your consciousness which is giving you an answer which is so true for you. You ask me a question, I can give you a number of answers, but then those answers may come from experience, they may come from my own personal perceptions. But the day you sit down and you ask your question as, what is my big idea? And wait, sit pretty and wait. That's the time your conscious talks to you based on whatever perceptions you have, based on what beliefs you have, based on how you want to align your life further down. You will get an answer for this. And the answer that you get when you ask this question, it's like, it's a laser for your conscious. It acts like a laser for your conscious, which means when you get an answer, that answer is so you. And that's what you have to bring as an entrepreneur, as a big idea, as any professional. You have to bring your complete self onto the table. You have to bring your uniqueness to the world, because we want more people who are so they. And only when you speak your mind, you speak your truth, you come across as extremely trustworthy. You come across as somebody who can be reliable. And we need more reliable people. We need more authentic people today than ever. So you'll find a number of people doing the same business, but who is that one person who's getting amazing amount of work? Who is that one person who's insured against all those plummeting businesses or plummeting sales? So it is that one person who talks or gets on to their truth, who brings their uniqueness on the table, who is so passionate about getting that solution to the client that he or she doesn't mind working an extra hour. So I guess when you have that in mind, your big idea is definitely going to work. Well, but theoretically speaking, if you ask me that what is that one big idea that I can help you with, well, I can only say that for that idea to be a big idea, you have to consider what or how you can solve a problem or a pain point for your client. Because we all think of, oh, I like the idea, I'm going to start it. What is the pain point? What is that issue which is being addressed for your client is more important than how much happiness this one area is going to give you. Because if it is about you, I don't know if it is going to foolproof your future. Only when your ideas are about people, only when your ideas are about addressing a pain point, addressing a something which is creating a difficulty, a challenge for your client, is when it becomes a big idea. That's one. And also, because now you want to contribute, are you equipped enough? Now the second thing to consider once you've thought about it, that okay, so this is something, what pain point or problem it is going to address, that's one. Secondly, you've got to understand are you sufficiently equipped to handle that pain point? maybe right now, maybe, or if you're not, how open are you to embrace that kind of learning, those kind of skills which will create this big idea. It will make it only bigger. So how open are you to that? That also needs to be considered. And most importantly, what I need to tell you is, have you thought about what is what is interesting you at this moment in a very clear, focused, disciplined manner with somebody who could guide you enough? Because when we work from our big idea, we've got the idea, we are already biased about it. We are already, oh, it's a wonderful idea, I just want to go ahead with it. When you sit down with somebody who could see that idea as an outsider and can tell you where is the idea having a problem, is when you can actually foolproof your idea to a big idea. So I hope this helps. So I have suggested you something where part of the duty is on you to ask a question about your big idea, and partially you can do it based on the inputs that I've given. So I am sure this is going to be a wonderful input for you, and I'm even more sure that you will be bringing something onto the table where we'll have innovative products and other things coming from your end. So my best wishes for whatever you're thinking. May that idea definitely be a big idea. This brings me to my last question for today, and my last question is, okay, so this question comes from Arpita Saxena. Arpita says, in the current scenario, it has become very worrying and tiresome to carry on my business. I'm often worried about my venture, sales, and many more things at the same time. I feel so tired that it is taking so much of energy to be everywhere, online as well as offline, and I am hardly getting any sales. So okay, so Arpita, it's again, as I said, most of the questions that I've received are talking of the current pandemic and how it has impacted their businesses. And because we are an entrepreneur, we are also supposed to be a little more resilient than somebody who's in the job, right? So I want you to keep the patience intact, because we have almost covered a big deal of what how wrong it could go. So we are almost at the fag end of it. But what you are currently experiencing, the worry and the tiredness, I have to tell you that based on the work that I'm doing currently with so many professionals and entrepreneurs, yes, my work is now happening online majorly, but and it is tiring. Trust me, it is tiring. I have clearly decided timings for myself where I am online for a certain time, and I give myself breaks enough so that I'm able to have a downtime. I'm able to relax my eyes and my mind, because it's not easy to go online all the time. So yes, if you are feeling tiresome being online and offline, just go back to the time some months back where we were doing everything from household chores to a lot of things. Now at least things have sorted. So shift your focus and look at those things, how things are becoming better now. Today our children are much more comfortable in the systems of study, so we have lesser responsibility there. Yes, we have to look into it, but at least we are not doing the way we were doing 4 months back. Look at the avenues, how communities, various Facebook communities have opened up their doors to entrepreneurs, and they're giving them so many options to talk about their work, to showcase their work. And I am really proud of so many wonderful ladies who are running the communities and giving entrepreneurs that kind of platform. So Arpita, if you have not been able to explore that, I would suggest please explore the power of community, how communities are helping you reach out to more people. So I think that should be able to take care of your sales, especially if you are in a product line. If you are in a service line and you're not getting a sales, Arpita, it's a good time to build up yourself. It's a good time to invest in yourself. It's a good time to learn a few new skills, or to kind of sit down and plan how you are currently doing things, how you can do them better, how you can do them differently, what new elements can you bring in. Because when there are so many people doing the same kind of work, you have to create a very clear differentiator, and one of those clear differentiator is you as well. So personally, how are you shaping up? Are you sorted enough? Because people would love to come to those people who are sorted enough. People would love to come to those people who handled challenges and problems aptly. and they look up to them not just as inspiration, they look up to them for aspiration, which means they want to be like them. So I guess if you are in a product line, leverage the power of community. Make sure your products are are particularly high quality products, because what has recently happened is people are buying, and money has suddenly become a very valued commodity. So people are buying, they are spending enough on products, especially with festival season around the corner and other things happening, life opening up slowly. So people are buying, but you have to be very careful about two things. I would suggest one thing is the price, and the second thing is the service. So as long as your price and the quality of your product is good enough, people will keep coming back to you, they will recommend you, they will talk about you. Secondly, if your service, don't serve them out of a necessity. Serve them because you really want to serve them, you really want to have them a good enough time because of your services. So I would suggest, please look at those couple of areas. Then if you are in a service sector, please build upon your skills. Please look into how you can make it or create it wonderfully well for your clients. What are your clients facing right now? Do enough research to find out how you can make sure that your clients are able to bring their unease, bring their levels of worry and tiredness down. And if you look at it, this is exactly what the purpose of my Facebook lives are. I am very busy these days. I am very thankful to the universe that I'm getting that kind of work. But I must tell you that this reason why I want to thank you all for sending the questions, for looking at the page and going through the lives, is because I want to contribute. I want to contribute to every single person who's here on this page, who's following me, and who could be helped through one or the other input. I am just trying to build up, that aha moment for most of you. Though I'm talking of an entrepreneur, whatever I'm telling you is equally relevant in personal life. So if you are able to turn it around through these little concepts which I'm sharing with you, I'll be more than happy. I'll be super blessed. In case you're not, I do have programs where I am running only for people who can be supported for their personal development, who could be supported for professional relevance, and it's been happening for years now. I have even been able to successfully launch a community around my programs, and once in a year I make sure I bring that community together to have that feeling of belongingness. So what I can suggest is being worried is not the solution currently, Arpita. Worry, it's like a rocking chair. You sit on it, but you reach nowhere. So if you have nothing big to do, sit on that rocking chair and just be there, enjoy the whole thing. But it's not going to take you anywhere, and that's the problem. That's the challenge. I want you to not worry any longer. So what can be done is, most important thing, I can give you a few steps which I have jotted down based on how I have taken care of my worry. So this worry could be used for professional purposes. This worry could also be when you are personally worried per se. So be calm. Break the crisis right now into smaller, chunks. Chunk it down. So the 3 C's are calm. Be calm. This is a time to be calm, to relax yourself. This is also the time to chunk down your whatever big achievements you want to do into smaller pieces. That's my next C. And the third, contemplate very hard on, even a small part which is not working out of whatever you're doing currently. So be calm. That means calmness is going to help you. Chunk it down is going to help you. And most importantly, contemplate thoroughly on what is happening in your life. This is a downtime. This is also a time. And as you said that there's so much happening online and offline, so delegate some work, offline, whatever you're doing currently, don't do the level that we were doing 5 months back. Please delegate some work, bring some sanity to your to your life, so you're calmer enough. Then I would suggest even online, if you don't want to participate in every single live or every single flash sale which is happening, it's absolutely your call. You have to decide how much would be good enough for you. Because see, success means different things to different people. For some it could mean some kind of money in the bank. For others it could mean having a cup of tea with their loved ones, or sitting down and having a meal with their loved ones. What does success mean to you is your definition. That's how you should be defining it. Now coming to the parting shot, and I will be quickly telling you what all could be done, which I have been able to take care of my worry bigger, big time because of these little things. So I would say, keep yourself busy. The moment you keep yourself busy, you are able to crowd out all this worry thing out of your mind. So if you are tired, take a downtime, take a me time, but then keep yourself busy. This helps to keep worry away. Do not fuss too much about trivialities, small things. Do not fuss too much about them. It's not a good time to fuss about little things, or because they're going to ruin your happiness. And if you're not happy, you will not be able to do things effectively, and it will show on your health, on your mind, on your business, on your personal life. And it's a vicious cycle. It goes on and on and on. Another important thing is, look at, okay, so when we worry, what happens is, we think of all the things which can go wrong. I want that you should look at law of averages and look back and find out how many things which you thought would go wrong went wrong actually. You would realize, if you look at the law of averages, half of the time those things did not happen, but you worried to the core. So that worry could be brought down by looking back at the law of averages and looking at how many things that you thought would go wrong actually went wrong. Then the next thing that I want to highlight is, please cooperate with what is inevitable. Things that we cannot avoid, like current scenario, things we cannot avoid, cooperate with them. Let it be. That's how it is. That's the reality. See how you can maneuver around it. And bury the past, start afresh. That's what I think. So if I've not been able to do something, say yesterday, today is a new day. Think about it, do it, and I'm sure you will be able to manage so much. But before I go, I must tell you, I loved all of you for the kind of questions you sent. I love because the kind of questions you sent had so much to cover, whether it was about personally able to tell you how you can manage your thinking in this moment, or professional relevance. It actually made a lot of sense. Me and my team, we love the idea of picking up these questions. And whether you're watching a fresh live right now, or whether you're watching it later, I can promise you that every single input which has been given has come through experience, has come through my own experience of how I've handled life. And today when I look at life, I don't find it challenging. I'm curious around it. I want to learn from it. And most importantly, once I am curious and I've learned from it, I want to pass it on. So all those who've been benefited by this, let's make passing it on, let's make contribution a bigger value in our life. If we have something to share, if we have a good word to put in for somebody, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and make that call and tell people that you are valuable, that you're doing a wonderful job. And this is what is going to be one of the best gifts of this time. So thank you so much. In case any one of you would like to further explore how you can personally energize your own development, or you can professionally make yourself relevant, how you can turn around your venture through very concrete and very scientific tools and strategies, you can very well go to our website www.educonceptsindia.com and explore the program Exceed Yourself. So I wish most of the entrepreneurs, almost every single entrepreneur who's watching this, that they bring more value, they bring more contribution to the world, and their ventures are a reflection of truly what they are. God bless and take good care. Thank you so much for watching.